SoFi stock once again is pushing back into all-time highs, and today we had more reason to believe that this is just the tip of the iceberg because they became the first bank in the entire nation to do one thing. We're going to be talking exactly about that. And again, this is still on target to reach $35 and ultimately $40. In my opinion, this could legitimately happen before year's end if the market stays on track for the breakout where it's moving right now. Since the government shutdown has ended, the trade war has ended, and it seems like we are set up for one last push before the year's end. We're going to be going in detail about all this. We'll also be going into the chart about where we're looking at buying it, where your buy zones, what to be looking at, and ultimately are options now an option here? Like, do we look to get that aggressive with what's happening? We'll also be diving into mortgage rates and how this affects SoFi as a company and how they can be moving forward as well. Before we go into all that, I do want to say right now, if you want to see how we're trading, what we're trading every single day, the Discord link is down below. You can see all of our futures trades, what we're looking at there, all of our long-term plays, our swing trades. We got into some today as well. I mentioned that in the previous trade also. And then also going into our scalps, which is probably what everyone really likes the most. Intraday, getting in and out of those trades, everything is there for you. See profits as well. Do what you got to do. The link is down below. Let's get to work. So the first thing I want to talk about is the big news on the day. Now, today, SoFi became the only and the first national chartered bank to launch a crypto trading for consumers, retail consumers like me and you. Now, again, you can do this on our various other platforms, but you need to understand SoFi. What's so interesting about them, if you're trading on them, using them at all, is again, they are a bank. None of these other companies like Robinhood, Webull, they're not banks. It's very important to understand that. This is very huge for what's happening there, especially when you look at why SoFi is growing, why SoFi's earnings continue to beat, why they continue to dominate, why they've been such a big player in the short, over the past year. Because the years when we've seen this big boom, if we go back to earlier this year, go to the weekly chart, we can zoom out, just, in give or take April, we were down at $9. For the better part, we were grinding between 16 and 14 before we erupted into all-time highs. But what's happened here? It's been a story of, number one, steady growth on revenue, as you can see here. And earlier in this year, 739 was Q4 of last year. Then Q1, they did 770. Then they did 860 almost, and then they most recently did 950. So they're growing consistently and pretty rapidly when we look at that. And some of these recent earnings have been even bigger percent jumps than previous, which is kind of crazy when you're looking at it. And they're back at that sweet spot of $1 billion of revenue per quarter, give or take. Very important to understand that. Giving you a representation of why is this so interesting. Look at a comparable name. Now, I think Robinhood's a little bit different, like I always talk about. But again, Robinhood's making similar numbers, $1.2 billion, $1.3 billion. Last quarter, they did almost the same numbers as SoFi. And then you look at overall valuation, SoFi's market cap is $37 billion. Robinhood, again, what's happening there? They're sitting at roughly, crazy number, almost 3x the value of SoFi. And again, I think SoFi, it's not going to bring in as much revenue or make as much money as Robinhood. However, I think they're on that path. They're doing it slow and steady in the right way. The way that I always describe SoFi is it's a nice, boring stock that moves pretty quick. And that's what you like to see here. So again, when we go into the story of what's been going on with SoFi and you go look here, what happened over this past year with consumers and overall with their members, right? The member growth is the real story, in my personal opinion, right? They started building a solid platform, building a solid plan, and then they started executing and pushing that. So the company's member count rose to 12.6 million users, up over 35% year over year. Now, again, we have to understand members equate to revenue. Members equate to growth. Members equate to getting to that $40, $50 target. That's what you have to see. As long as this continues to go up, you have to decide with that viewpoint of like, okay, revenue should continue growing pretty rapidly. Now, also it gets them in that ecosystem of SoFi. And again, SoFi is not just somewhere where you invest in. It's somewhere you buy your mortgage, right? It's where you have your mortgage, you have your student loans, it's really a hub for money. That's what SoFi is. And they are expanding on that, especially with what they're doing right now. Now, again, we'll go back into crypto, but when we look at what they're doing right now overall with more recent upgrades, etc. Now, if you don't remember, they just added level 1 options trading, which again is level 2 options trading, which is really big. So they had a level 1 and now they opened up a level 2 more in this quarter. So very important to understand that as well. As they did that, again, it brings in new consumers, new customers, and new members, and gets them on track. Because again, there's a lot of people that are, maybe using their student loans, they have their mortgage through SoFi, but they don't really want to invest in them because they don't have the option to use options, right? Very interesting to see that as well. And that's where they come in with what's happening with crypto. Because again, some people want to buy crypto, but they can't do it on SoFi. They want to have all their money in one spot, and that's ultimately the goal with SoFi. But now look at it. Now they're doing it as a one-stop shop, and this is directly from SoFi, as you can see. The one-stop shop for digital financial services today announced the launch of SoFi becoming the first and only nationally chartered bank where consumers can now bank, borrow, invest, and now buy and sell and hold crypto all in one place on a platform they trust. I assume they'll add staking. Nothing's included right now. And right now it's only the big ones. So as you can see, including Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, they're going to be adding more, obviously, but important to understand that, right? And why is this so big? A platform with a bank grade stability and security. This is the biggest part. When you look at what happened with FTX, for example, and I think this is like one of the big areas with crypto that's such a red flag is, what's the security? I think SoFi being a bank, the only bank, is going to drive in a lot of people. So worth mentioning, worth watching, worth talking about. We'll see how this goes, but very big. It's also important to understand how much money, Robinhood is bringing in, for example, from the crypto side of the company. Right. And again, this is a whole nother avenue. We'll see what happens, but it's going to be big. And you can also see right here, data shows that 60% of SoFi members who own crypto would prefer to buy and sell and hold their crypto with a licensed bank over their primary crypto exchange. A clear signal that the confidence of consumers placed in a regulated institution in SoFi's unique position to meet the demand head on. And again, they are the only bank out there that does this. So that's why I'm saying, again, I compare them to Robinhood, I compare them to some other companies, but they're not, because they're really more than that. And I don't think Robinhood is going to be this, or they're not a bank, so they're not comparable in that sense of it. So again, you're really doing this, and that's why I always say, SoFi is attacking the things that Robinhood is doing, but in a way more professional sense. I made a post the other day on TikTok, just showing the search bar for Robinhood. And it's at the top, you have gambling basically on sports. Then you have a bunch of meme coins. It's not even the big cryptos, it's the meme coins. And then your top movers of the day. And it just shows that Robinhood is going at this not from a secure point or an investor's point. It's let's make as much money as we can. Let's get them trading. Let's get them spending their money so we can make money on that side of it as well. And again, I think that's the problem. And I think that's where SoFi is okay, well, Robinhood can do that. We're going to cater to the people that are the normal Americans who aren't into brain rot, who aren't trying to YOLO and gamble at all. We want real money, and we want that money to stay here. We want that customer to have a lifespan on this platform, not just to turn and burn. And that's what you have to really be thinking about when you're investing into SoFi, in my personal opinion. Do your own research as always, but again, what I am looking for right now. They also said this launch is the beginning of SoFi's broader strategy to weave blockchain innovation throughout its entire ecosystem. SoFi is currently leveraging blockchain to power global crypto-enabled remittances that make sending money internationally faster and more affordable. Which again, when you go down these rabbit holes of what's happening with XRP and all these cryptos and transferring, again, this is the beginning, and it's crazy that SoFi is the one that's doing this right now. SoFi also plans to introduce a USD stablecoin and integrate crypto into its lending infrastructure services to unlock lower cost borrowing, faster payments, and new embedded financial capabilities for clients and members. Which I'll be watching the stablecoin very, very, very closely as well. This is huge. I'm pretty excited about this. It's not active yet. It should be active on joining the wait list by November 30th. Opening a crypto account, you'll see everything that happens, but pretty cool. Definitely be expecting this. And I do think this is going to be a very influential thing to be watching for the upcoming new members in the next quarter. And we'll also see how they're making money off this as well, which is going to be massive. So very excited about this. Really good to see. Now going back into SoFi's chart, this is Robinhood's. Obviously Robinhood has had its big boom already. Now SoFi, again, what I would like to do really quickly is just take the drawings off and we zoom out. Now this is a weekly chart. This is not a short-term time frame. And as you can see here, we're clear as day, just bouncing back up. Now this is your previous all-time high. I just want to leave that there for a second. As you can clearly see, we are mounting above it. We're holding strong. Now, as we quickly, let's just put the drawing back on there so you can see previous all-time high, zoom in on the weekly chart. look at the candle that we kind of formed from last week. So number one, you had this strong selling candle and then buyers just held you up at that level. And this week, obviously you're trying to break back out. Now the question comes is, do we look at options? How do we address those options? How do we get aggressive if we can? Now, in my opinion, if you're buying stock, let's start there. So for me, the stock buying zones have been $24.5 to $25 in this range. You had a quick dip. A lot of Discord members were buying at 25.5. Kudos to them. I had some orders set down here. I just didn't get filled. It is what it is, right? It's the game you play. But you remount to 28.4, also a big level there. That's also, I consider, a little bit of a buy zone. A little bit aggressive, but in my opinion, still a solid level. But above 30.3, I've talked about this becoming a potential option play. Because again, I'm not looking, if I'm looking to trade options on SoFi, I would be okay going leaps, meaning at least a year out on my contracts, meaning 365 days until expiration. And you're saying, well, Tyler, I'm not going to get rich off this. That's not the idea. The idea for me is to not get rich off this, right? The idea is to consistently have a strategy that's working and that I can continue to implement every single day. And so when I'm looking at SoFi here, I'm looking on this breakout. I'm like, okay, well, I'm already green on my shares, number one. And I do kind of think we have some upside in the near term as well as we're trying to break back out. The other thing we have to look at is IWM and what's happening here. IWM is breaking back out of its range, trapping shorts down here as well. Well, let's go look at NASDAQ. So you can look at NASDAQ. Well, we go look really quickly at the NASDAQ right here, as you can see in the after hours, tick tock, trying to load in. What is going on? We can look at ES, just as good of an example. Quickly get rid of that. As you can see, oh, well, ES had extreme selling last week and you're just climbing back through it. Almost an engulfing candle here. We still have a few more days in the week, but still worth mentioning. A lot of strength is there as well. So the story just continues, in my opinion. The market looks good. Our stock looks good. This puts me in a position where I'm not overly aggressive, but I do like SoFi. So how would I approach this? Going into here, let's look at some really quick, look at some options really quick for you. One sec. We're looking at Walmart today. It was a big stock today. So again, going into a SoFi, again, I'm going to want to have time. I'm going to tell you that right now. So I'm going to at least be going, you might not like this. It is what it is. I don't care. The shortest day I'd be going, even if it's a quick trade, is January 2026. I still think this is a little bit short, but the options are pretty cheap. Now, again, how I'd be looking at this is going near or at the money, even if, again, it's a shorter term trade. I don't think I'm going to be making too much extra off of these out of the money contracts unless you get a crazy volatile move. I just don't see that happening. So again, I would be more focused on something like the $30 call options. As we look at the detailed quotes, you can see how these have been moving as well. Now, again, on this dip, they went all the way down to $2. So again, it's worth mentioning at lows down here on SoFi from the big dip, which I'd obviously stop out way before then, of around $26. These contracts were all the way down at, $1.80, $2 roughly. So that gives you an idea of how they move. Now at all-time highs, they were at 535. You had a little bit of volatility worth mentioning. So I'm not gonna say it'll be at 535 if you get back up there, but it is likely to be like 520, give or take. So we know kind of where we're at and how we're moving, okay? So we do know they move good. So this is something that I would be tracking, and this is a contract that I would be interested in. Even going a little bit further out, I would still be interested as well, going something like the summertime just in case, because again, it's worth mentioning, I don't see us getting aggressive rate cuts until after Powell's out, his term is ending, which is near the end of January. I could be wrong, but I'll fact check that, but I'm pretty sure. Okay. So I would lean more towards them around June as well, which again, you'll pay a little bit more, a little bit more, but on these, I'd lean to go a little bit, maybe more out of the money potentially, but still, I still think the best play is still around that that $30 contract, which is around $7. And again, my goal isn't to make 2-3x really quick. My goal is to almost treat this as leveraged shares for myself. That's how I'd be approaching this if I'm looking at this personally. Okay. So understand, people, I get social media. It's this place where we see, okay, well, I can get rich off of options. That's not the goal here, guys. The whole point of this channel is to repeat success over and over and over. And again, to put ourselves in the best winning position. So again, everything from our last video of what we've been talking about tracking, it's all kind of happening right now. So again, from a technical viewpoint, I'm a big fan. The other thing to consider here is how well SoFi is actually holding up, which again, just puts you in that situation of like, it's a stock that I really do love. And this is why you love it, because it's holding up so well. I like to use Hood as an example because it's a similar field, but Hood I think is a little bit overextended, a little bit more volatile. I would say SoFi is holding up much better than Hood here. Hood, it's still a little bit away from its highs. Now, granted, Hood's a great stock. I think near $100 is a better opportunity down here, maybe in the 200 SMA. But again, as you can see, SoFi is not, flirting with the 50-day moving average. SoFi is flirting with all-time highs. So it's, again, another reason why you like it so much, okay? So again, what I'm looking at, why I'm looking at it. Now, also too, guys, if you aren't following, I recommend following on Twitter. You get all the charts, all the updates, you get the jokes as well. I'm a little bit of a troll. But you're gonna get all the updates as well for free on there as well if you don't want to pay for Discord, which I never want to make anyone feel like they have to pay for X, Y, or Z. But if you want those, you can. It's there for you. The Twitter link is down below. Make sure you tap in. So again, on SoFi, that's where my head is at, and that's kind of how I'm approaching this. Now, again, if we get a dip, where's my head at? Do I think we're going to get plummet? Do I think we're going to get a crash? I personally don't. Where I would get more cautious is going to be maybe near the middle to end of December is where we might see some slowdown in the market, but we still have a ways to go for that. I think going into, Thanksgiving, beginning of December, that's a very hot time typically for the market. Even beginning, middle of November into the middle of basically December, that's a very hot time for the market. And as we look at IWM as well, I think things still look good. It looks like we just had a massive short trap across the board on a lot of equities. And this has to have investors feeling pretty good going into almost the end of the year. Again, we have a few catalysts as well. Like we mentioned, member growth should start picking up again based off of crypto and what they're doing there. I suspect this is going to get a lot of publicity, being the only charter bank out there that, again, is allowing this crypto trading. I think this is a big win. And honestly, I'm surprised that I'm not seeing this in more places right now, that more people aren't talking about what SoFi is doing and how they're doing it. And honestly, the way that the stock is moving. Again, it's a monster name. It looks great. I'm not trying to BS you or anything like that. But again, this is one of the better looking names. I wasn't going to make this update. My other video got taken down from YouTube. So again, this is the one that's going to come out tonight. Have a good one, traders. See you in the next video. Like, subscribe, do what you got to do.